Hey, my name is Michael. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how you can get HVAC installs and replacements with Facebook ads. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about the campaign structure. So I'm going to talk about things like your campaign, the ad sets, and the actual ad level. Then I'm going to start talking about offers, ad creatives, copy, targeting, forums versus landing page, and how to optimize, scale, and retarget. So first, let's talk about the campaign structure. And really briefly, like Google Ads, it goes from a campaign level being general, then you have ad sets that are more specific, and the ad is the most specific level. The structure doesn't really matter that much in the beginning because later on in the optimization process, I'm going to show you guys that you later just take out the winning ads and make them into their own campaign. But basically, let's get started with the campaigns. As I said, they're the highest level of the Facebook ads. It's going to be where you host all of your ad sets, which is what hosts your ads. And you want the campaign to have one objective, whether that be AC replacements, tune ups, or whatever. And when you're creating a campaign, you want to make sure you select the objective as leads. So, for example, let's say you want AC replacements, you would make a campaign for AC replacements. Then your ad sets would be all the different offers you have for ACs. So you can have financing offers, BOGO, full systems, or whatever. But you need to be careful with financing offers. Make sure you declare a special category when you're advertising financing offers. It has to be a credit category, otherwise, Facebook could reject the ad. Then you might get your ad account suspended, and trust me, you don't want to go there. Um, Next, we also have the Advantage campaign budget at this campaign level. So what this does is Facebook will determine which ad set is performing the best, and then it'll allocate budget to that ad set. This makes it really easy to optimize for winners and testing different ads, but it's not really necessary because at the ad set level, you can also set a budget. As I mentioned previously, ad sets are where you can run different offers for the same objective. For example, you can have an ad set for your financing offers. You can have an ad set for your BOGO. You can have an ad set for your full system offers, etc. And at the ad set level, this is where you set a conversion location for your ads. And put simply, conversion location is how customers can get in touch with you. So, for example, some conversion locations would be like website, instant forms, messenger, and calls. I generally stick with instant forms unless the lead quality is extremely bad, which then I would switch over to a landing page. Which, in case you don't know what a landing page is, it's like a one-page website. Sending over leads to a landing page will generally result in more expensive but better quality leads because you're taking them off the platform. And the ad set level is also where you select the page that you like to run ads to. And as I said earlier, if you don't have Advantage campaign on, you can set a budget at the ad set level. There's also something called dynamic creative, and this idea is similar to the Advantage campaign budget. So if you turn dynamic creative on at the ad level, which is after the ad set, I'll get into that as well. You're going to be able to upload multiple different creatives, different ad copies, different headlines, etc. And what Facebook is going to do is it will optimize for which combination works the best. And this is definitely recommended in order to optimize correctly. At the ad set level, you can also choose your targeting for the ad, but I'm going to get more into detail about that later on. You also select placements, which is which places you would like your ad to be shown. So think about like Facebook feeds, Instagram feeds, stories, Messenger, that sort of stuff. So with placements, Facebook has this thing called Advantage Plus placements, which they recommend because you'll get cheaper leads. But what they don't really tell you here is that this is where a majority of your spam leads would come from. And if you ever ran Facebook ads before and you've gotten leads like xjtjtt at gmail.com, this is where it comes from. The trick that they don't really teach you is you have to turn Advantage campaign or Advantage Plus placements off and turn on manual placements. And all you have to do is turn off the audience network. The audience network is where almost all the spam leads come from. We turned this off and we didn't really have to worry about spam leads coming in anymore. Finally, we're at the ad level. So, as I've said before, this is where you upload all of your creatives, upload all your ad copies, headlines, and you can make forms here. And if you remember what I talked about earlier in terms of dynamic creative, this is where it comes into play. You generally want to have 3 to 5 ads per ad set, 2 primary texts per ad set, 2 headlines per ad set, and 2 descriptions per ad set. Then you want to let Facebook decide which combination is best. That's basically it from this technical side. What's most important, or one of the most important things about Facebook ads, is the offer. You never, ever, ever want to run a repair ad on Facebook. I mean, if you think about it logically, I can't think of one time someone was freezing in their room and decided to say, let's go on Facebook and maybe I'll see a furnace repair ad. As I've said, this is something that should just be straightforward. Next, you want to forget about free estimates, free quotes, free consultations. Everyone does it. You're not special, and everyone has seen it 1,000 times, including me. How are you different? That's what you need to think about. Financial incentives paired with good creatives actually kill it on Facebook, especially in the economy nowadays. I mean, depending when you're watching, it's 2024 now, but not many people nowadays can afford to drop 5 to 10K on a new system. If you have rebates going on, you should say on your ad that you can get a new heat pump and get $10,000 back in rebates. If you offer financing, run ads that say get a new AC for $90 a month. You want to get creative with how you word your offer. So, for example, $90 a month, you can word that as $3 a day or $22.50 a week. So, I want you to ask yourself, like, which one would sound more appealing? Which type of ad? Would you rather click on an ad that says get a new AC starting at 6,500 or get a new AC for as low as $3 a day? I want to talk about the ad creatives, and the first thing that I want to tell you guys about ad creatives, this is one of the most overthought parts about running ads. The most important part about your ad is the offer, which is what I just mentioned. People don't buy from you because they like the way your ad looks. People buy from you because they want what you're selling. That's not to say that creative isn't important. It definitely is, but people just get caught up in the most minute details and it isn't really worth it. You can actually get away with a black canvas and write your offer in big fat letters that says get a new AC as low as $20 a week. People will still want it. This actually works. You can also make creatives that include stuff like an HVAC unit, text by a unit, your van, and that sort of stuff. But it does need to include your offer. And if you want good creative ideas, just think about the problem that you're actually solving. You make homes comfortable. What's the opposite of that? What are the consequences of the opposite happening? Like, are people sweating in their homes? Are they struggling to sleep because it's too hot? Maybe your creative is someone who can't sleep because it's too hot in their home. So what happens if people don't regularly maintain their units? Could their gas start leaking? What happens if their gas starts leaking? Is it healthy for the homeowner? You got to think about the problem you're solving and get creative with it. Or you can do something like this. I guarantee you this worked amazing because it's funny. Now, I'm not going to go into depth of how to make creatives or the graphic design behind it, but you can make loads of creatives on Canva. And there are tons of Canva tutorials out there, so you can go knock yourself out with that. Or you can just hire a graphic designer if you want to do these yourself. But I can talk a little bit about the ad copy. One thing about ad copy is people don't want to really read an essay about your furnace special you're running, but they still want something to read. They want you to know that you understand them. Again, if you understand the problem that you're solving and you know what your customers want, advertising becomes really easy. So you should be addressing their pain points in your ad copy and then fit your offer in there at the end. So you want to give them enough to make them want to get in touch with you and learn more about how you can help them. So, for example, the problem with sleeping and being uncomfortable in the ad copy, you can ask them if they haven't been getting the best sleep recently, or if they've been tossing and turning, or they're just having trouble falling asleep. Next is the targeting. And maybe back in the day, it would be smart to add interest to your ad targeting, but Facebook has evolved to a point where if you let it decide who your target audience is, you'll get better results than targeting the nitty gritty. And you might think you know your ideal customer, but you don't know them as good as Facebook's $1 billion AI. You're not smarter than the algorithm, and neither am I. So you want to keep the targeting open. Don't add any interest, don't add age restrictions, no gender restrictions. Don't exclude people who have HVAC technician in their bio. Let Facebook do what it does best. Now I want to talk about instant forms versus landing pages because I know that's a pretty decent topic in this industry. Um, and you might be thinking which one is better. The answer depends on what you want. Do you want less expensive leads that you have to try and convert and most likely follow up with, or do you want way more expensive leads that are generally more qualified? You generally want a mix of both. You want to get leads at a decent cost that mostly pick up the phone when you call them. I recommend starting out with instant lead forms, adding qualifying questions. Then, if the quality is still really bad, you introduce a landing page. If you have too few questions on your forms, you'll get tire kickers, but if you have too many, you'll lose leads. The ideal number of questions you want to have in your form is 3 to 5, I would say. And ideally, you want to collect this information. You want to make sure that they're actually a resident in your city or service area, and you want to make sure they're a homeowner, not a renter. And you sort of also want to get a time frame on when they're looking to get an estimate. I would also avoid asking for addresses this early on. This is something you can collect on a call, but I mean, you can still ask. It depends, on Facebook's um, instant forms. If you're doing a special category for credit, you won't be able to ask for their address anyway. It goes against their policy. And now let's talk about optimizing and scaling these campaigns. So if you remember what I talked about earlier, we talked about dynamic creatives. And if you set it up how I've mentioned earlier, you'll be able to see which ad combinations are winners. And to find a winning ad, you first off want to start with the ad, test it, and if the ad gets at least 0.5% click through rate, it's considered a winner. And then you want to create 3 new ads based on the winning ad, and then you want to test those 3 new ads. The one that gets at least a 1.5% CTR is the final winner. And then you take this winner and then you put it in its own campaign and just throw a bunch of money at it. I want to talk about retargeting. And basically, with retargeting, you want to use the Facebook pixel. One of the best things that you can do for yourself is set up your Facebook pixel on your website. So the way it works is you put your Facebook pixel on your website gets visitors from Google or wherever, however you get people going to your website. Facebook will gather data from your website visitors. Now, your Facebook ads will show up to the people who visited your website whenever they log on to Facebook and they scroll through their Facebook feeds. So, for example, if I'm just a regular customer, if you have your Facebook pixel set up properly, I'll go on Google, I'll find you on Google, click on your website. Then, when I log on Facebook later that night, I'm going to start seeing your ads because I went on your website. And this is one of the easiest and cheapest ways to get high quality leads because they already seen your company before. They've seen you, and you're right in their face all the time. You're going to continue to be in their face. You remain top of mind when you do this. If you aren't setting up your Facebook pixel on your page and creating retargeting campaigns, you're missing out. And you can get away with a really cheap budget if you're doing this. Now, I want to talk about budgets and KPIs. How much should you really be spending on Facebook ads? So, luckily, Facebook is one of those platforms where you can spend $20 a day and still get some decent results. Obviously, the more you spend, the better, but it's not like Google where you have to be spending hundreds of dollars a day to get some results. If you're smaller, I would start out with $20 to $30 a day. But if you can afford it, starting out with 50 to 100 a day is usually a really healthy budget to start with. Then, as you scale up slowly. Once a campaign starts working, don't start throwing hundreds at it because that's how you actually mess up the performance. You want to optimize it and scale it slowly and systematically. In case you're wondering what your numbers should look like, your KPIs are going to be different according to your market. So the more competitive that your market is, obviously the more expensive it's going to be. I generally try to follow these 3 KPIs, but as I said, it's going to be different according to the market. So I usually aim for like a $30 to $50 cost per lead. Then you want to book in 20% of these leads. So about one of every 5 leads you want to be booking in for an estimate. And you want to spend around $200 to get an estimate in. Again, these numbers could be way higher, way lower depending on the market, but this is the general baseline of what's possible. And now I've given you all this information. I want to give you some action steps really quickly. The first thing that you want to do is assess what problem you solve and what customers you want. And without this, good luck selling anything. Then you want to think about how you're solving these problems. Then you want to package this into something deeper than get a free quote. You want to make your creatives on Canva, it's free. And then create copy that actually makes your audience feel understood. Then you want to launch it, optimize it, and scale it. That's basically the process that you want to go through. So I hope this video was able to open up your mind a bit on how you can run Facebook ads for replacements. If you're to have any questions about this, feel free to comment or DM me on my socials below. And if you actually want a copy of this document that I just went over, I have a free Facebook group that I'll link in the description. Everyone in that group gets access. See ya.